Hey, welcome back. In this video we're going to take a look inside this beautiful kit. Great Wall Hobbies 1/72 scale F-15C. Hey guys, so here it is, the beautiful F-15C, the single-seater version, Air National Guard and USAF. It's kit number L7205 and it's 72nd scale from Great Wall Hobbies. Now if you're a follower of my channel, you know I'm a big fan of these 72nd scale kits from Great Wall Hobbies. I recently did a review of this guy, the F-15E and D-Day markings. And I've also got the F-15I, the Israeli one. So I've pretty much got them all. All I need is Japanese variants, which is available, and I have the whole set of it, I guess. So great kits. Not built one yet, but I will be building one shortly. So watch out for my channel, hit the subscribe button and notifications and stuff. And what I'll do is I will be building one of these, most probably the C variant, and that will be built probably later on this year. So time of watching this, I'll probably put it live around about November, December 2020 would be the video build series. Lean towards the F-15C just because I kind of like the markings of two-tone colors. F-15E is a little boring to gunship grey, so I'm thinking I might go with this one with Lake and Heath decals. But anyway, let's get back to the review and look inside this box. Enough waffling. So on the outside, we actually look at the two which I have. I have the D-Day version of the E. And a couple of beautiful markings. And let's open her up. So I've not looked at this yet. Like I said, I've got other kits. I just opened it up to put this in. So when I do build the C, I'll be using these aero masks. This doesn't come with a kit. This is extra. Aero masks, the guys super friendly. They make all kinds of different masks, different scales. Just makes things a little bit easier. So rather than having to mask all this off by hand and stuff, basically how it works is typically you do the darker color first, which is kind of the opposite to normal, but you paint the dark color, and then you have a mask that sits on top of that, and then you spray the light color, and then it'll give you a nice effect. The Compass Ghost scheme this is. So I plan on doing this in a Compass Grey scheme with, like I say, with Lake and Heath markings. So, typical Great Wall Hobbies. The instructions can be a little bit unwieldy and difficult to follow. As soon as you open it, it looks like you have corrections, quite a lot of corrections. And the corrections to decals and markings for the Oregon variants. Tons of lovely crisp plastic, which we'll take all out, put to the side. Decals. They can be a little bit hit and miss. We'll look at them in a minute with Great Wall Hobbies. They can sometimes be tricky to put down. I've not really had an issue with them. My F-14 was absolutely fine, no issues at all. But some people have reported with some certain kits, you can get tricky decals, so just FYI. Then you get our instruction book, and well, also a beautiful big color pull-out. It's nice to do this in color too. A lot of manufacturers, i.e. Kinetic, give you black and white ones still, which they get kind of tricky with painting. We'll look at that in a minute too. So let me start by looking through the instructions. As expected, with all the other kits, it looks like a nice booklet, but when you open it up, it's just basically a bunch of loose pages, which mean no order or anything, so you have to kind of treat them as individual kind of books. So the cover itself has a diagram of what you get in the box, all different sprues. I told you not to pay attention there, not to use, because obviously they're using this same kit for a lot of different variants, so these certain parts here, shaded out, you're not going to use. That's probably for the E or the J or the I. And then you dig into this. Like I say, makes no sense at all really. Just individual books are treated as. So, number one, you start with the seats and the cockpit. Normally these kits have really nice decals with a little bit of micro salt and set. They really kind of bed down nicely over all the raised details, which I found in my previous times of building Great Wall Hobbies. Then you're attaching the wings to the lower fuselage, and then working on the intakes. Looks like then the two fuselage parts go together, and then you're working on the intakes and adding that separate nose section, very reminiscent of how the F-14 goes together. Tailplanes, horizontal stabilizers. Pretty straightforward so far. and adding a few lumps and bumps. I would take a look at this. If they're pretty rigid and sturdy, I'd put them on now before painting. Otherwise, bear in mind we're using mask sets and stuff. While I'm using mask sets, I'll probably leave them off to the very end. They are super tiny and likely to break off. Then we're looking at gear doors, wheels, attaching the wheels. Again, I do this at the very end once it's all painted, so I don't snap it off. Looking at this again, looks like you have to cut. So I'm looking, it doesn't tell you, but I'm guessing number 9 is if you want it wheels up, number 11 is wheels down, but the door's open. And that's the first kind of booklet. Then we go to the next booklet, which I assume starts at number 12. So again, just adding some few lumps and bumps. Then 13, working on the exhaust nozzles. Then up to 15, working on the canopy, up or down. Speed brake, up or down. Then we get onto the weapons. So this is the highlight of all these great hobby kits. They have great weapons. So 17 looks like the fuel tanks and pylons. Flip it over. 18 showing you how to add the fuel tanks. 19 pylons and rails. And that looks like a center fuel tank. Pretty straightforward. And then they show you there the configuration with the center fuel tank. So you see most of the stuff here is actually in the first booklet, and then once you get the second booklet, it's more spread out. There's a lot less stuff. And then wait, did I miss something? Oh. Okay. I think we're missing a page, what that extra thing is. And then mount the plan 1. I think that's probably a bad translation, so I'm not sure exactly what that's telling you. It's showing how the tanks and the IAM 9Xs mount onto that, I guess. And on the back here, mount the plan 2. So I guess with the center fuel tank or no center fuel tank. And then this is where the kind of correction sheet comes in, I guess. So this is where you this is why I don't recommend these for beginners, because you have to kind of reference lots of different materials. So here you have section 1 and 3, 4, and 6, and 9. And well, actually, pretty much follows the first booklet. So there's probably a lot of parts mislabeled or different configurations and stuff. So what we really do is every part you really have to reference this correction guide just to make sure there's no changes. And just reference it to it gets a lot complicated. Then follows on there. And then here's where we're missing some of the information, I think. Well, here's nozzles. So pretty much 13, 15, 8. So almost every single part of that instructions has a correction to it, which is bewildering. But you think the time they spend making these beautiful kits, I say this all the time, but you think they'll at least spend a few minutes just proofreading this before they print them all out. Have somebody English speaking just to check all this, because I mean, like I say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So out of 19 parts, 13 are corrected on this sheet. Anyway. Don't let that put you off, though. I mean, you should see they're fantastic kits. Now, let's look at these beautiful markings. So, first up is, excuse my, I've just been painting a tank for my daughter, so I've got yellow paint and black paint on me. So, here's the Oregon Air National Guard. Markings in MIG, and that nice kind of light wood, clay brown, crystal red, crystal light blue, jet exhaust, burnt iron, polished metal, and immediate blue. The colours it calls out right there for that one in MIG. And on the other side, which I'm going for, the more classic and traditional, the compass grey scheme. And this one here is the 18th wing of the US Air Force. Like I said, I'll be getting aftermarket decals and going with Lake and Heath for my one. There's the colours again, which doesn't actually give you the main colours because there's no, but it's light ghost grey and dark ghost grey, I believe. Is that okay? What else we got here? Correction. I'm not sure exactly what that reference is, but there's another little bit of correction paper in there if you're doing that scheme. Let's open up the decals. Very nice. As you can see, lots of stencil data, tiny in 72nd scale, but very nice nonetheless. Very crisp, nice colors in register. See, very nice decal. Okay, just kind of go through this in some kind of order, I guess. So let me start with the biggest sprues first. This is sprue F. And there's that beautiful service detail. Here's the front section. And we have the nose, speed brake, source nozzles. The intake's all one piece. Just makes it a little tricky to paint the fan at the bottom, but at least there's no seam lines. So see, one piece intake. And instrument dials, again, beautifully molded. Super tiny. Definitely want to go to decals for that one because it's going to be really hard to paint that. A really nice looking sprue. Okay, and here's your lower wings. Again, beautiful rivets and very fine, sort. You know, you can't, certainly not like Airfix. It's very refined. Really nice, and even though it's so thin, you know, with lacquer paints or normal paints and washes and stuff, they show up beautifully. Don't worry about, unless you flood it, you don't have a problem with the stuff not showing. There's a big section missing, so that's probably from a different part. They're parts for a different model, I guess. They were using, like I say, these sprues are for different variants. Pylons, once again, beautiful. Just, again, this is 72nd scale, and some of this detail's better than what you get in 32nd scale. And this is super zoomed in and closed up. If I pull it out, you can kind of see how small this stuff is. Again, some really nice detail on there. Okay, this is a nice looking sprue. This is the upper fuselage. Again, look at that, all that beautiful detail. Maybe you can see that in the light. Tail planes. Nice sturdy points too to put it together, so you know, make that nice fit between the two when you sandwich the parts together. Fuel tanks, I don't think I really need to open these up. There's a few other little bits and bobs there. Just basic fuel tank. Not really much. Oh yeah, there actually is a very, you can see for the plastic, but there's a little bit of detail on the fuel tanks too. Here we have, looks like the ends. Oh, sure this is. Oop, dropped it. Okay, here we have the wheels. And gear, see that great detail once again. I'm assuming this is the inside of the cockpit walls. Well, they kind of look like avionics base to me. I'm going to check that real quick. This is part number V4 and 3 and 4. Let's take a quick look at instructions. Yeah, just checking, that's the inside of the cockpit walls. For a minute they look like avionics bays. I know the 48 version has avionics bays, which open up and stuff, which the side opens up, so I just want to check that. The intakes, looks like you have a couple of different versions. Show you one of these again. You see that beautiful detail. It focuses. There you go. See how, again, semi-second scale, super tiny. This piece is probably about an inch long, but see how much detail's crammed on there. And the lower fuselage with the wheel wells molded in. Again, you can see all those lines and detail. Once you have a wash, it's going to pull all this lovely stuff out, make it pop. And just as nice on the inside, not that you see any of this, but you know, nice and crisp. And this is nice, crisp, hard plastic too. Next up, sprue. Looks like a match pair. So we have a exhaust nozzle with very, very nice detail. Once again, seats look nicely detailed. This is the inside of the nozzle. Exhaust nozzle looks like you have the fan molded in once again, like with the intake. I think you can quite see that. There you go, maybe see it there. Looks really nice too. I'm usually a fanboy of the resin seats. Whatever kit I buy, I almost go right out and buy resin seats automatically. What I found the last few months though, of this year really, is I'm using a lot more kit seats. Nowadays the kit seats fit perfectly and they're just really well detailed. So before you run out and buy resin seats, I'd recommend just at least taking a look at what you get in the set. Because often you know, you're getting quite nice stuff nowadays. What else we got here? So these very big sprues, with just one piece on each. So this is part of the exhaust nozzle. Looks like the piece we saw before were just the pieces that fit inside here. So this is the main kind of assembly. Beautiful detail. Again, look inside that and around the edge. So you get obviously two of those, two exhausts, and almost there. Tons of, okay, you're not getting tons of weapons in this one, but you're getting two of those guys. I see slide molded, one piece. Don't deal with seam lines or thins or anything, which is a trademark of Great Wall Hobbies. They've been doing this for years now. These great weapons, I mean, all scales, 48 and 72nd. Again, sidewinders beautifully just molded, one piece. Two sidewinders, and here's the cockpit tub. Again, look how beautiful this is, detailed. Ejection pins on the underside, but they're shallow and it's obviously on the underneath, so you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's going to be covered up. And finally, the clip arts. So it looks like we getting here a HUD and then the front part, which is really nice because you see how much kind of wiggle room you got here. This is part of the panel, so we painted the fuselage color. So this fits in, makes a nice fit. So if you do need any filler or anything, it's not going to be anywhere near the plastic, the clear part. Sorry, it's going to be around this part here, hopefully. So really nice. Again, you can see all the rivet detail on there and stuff. And there's the front, and then there's the rear part. It does have a slight center seam on, which I don't think an F-15 has. Check the reference materials, but you might need to sand that off, which shouldn't be a problem. Again, it's very, very slight center seam, but beautiful clear glass for semi-second scale. I mean, really, really nice. And that is it. I mean, tons of plastic. These kits are a really good value. They retail for about $30 to $40 US, about £30-ish, and if you're in the UK, for what you get here, plastic-wise, for semi-second scale, is beautiful. For some reason, the F-14 kits, which are very similar, great quality too, are double the price of the F-15 kits. I have no idea why, but if you see these F-15 kits, I highly recommend them. Any of the flavors. Again, this is a C version. You get the J, you get the I, you get the E. Special, so some limited edition ones, but it's like 75th anniversary, D-Day markings, all that kind of stuff. Just take a look. Great Wall Hobbies is two things to note. Firstly, notoriously hard to kind of get supply chain wise. If you see them, get them, especially in Europe, they can be hard to find. They pretty much, I think, play for the home market in China. So outside China, it's pretty difficult sometimes to kind of pick these up. The supply chain is pretty difficult, it's not good. So it can be hard to pick up, especially the 48 scale kits. And the second thing is just beware, the after service care is pretty much non-existent. Companies like Airfix are excellent. If you do break a part, lose a part, or rebel, they're pretty good too. Email them to send the part, no problem at all. Just if you break your canopy, you break any of these parts, you lose any parts, that's pretty much it. You're not going to get any replacements out of them, very rarely. They have a customer service email address, but again, it's on a Chinese website, and I think they really only respond again to the Chinese market. So if you're in Europe, North America, Australia, those kind of places, just be wary. Just take care, and if you do crack the canopy, just be warned that you have to throw a tarp over it or do something, because you're not going to get a replacement one, pretty much. So that's just my only kind of warning caveat. Other than that, you see the quality of these kits. They're night and day over old 72nd scale kits. The detail's absolutely superb. They build up really nicely. They make great models. And also, an F-15 is a pretty big jet. So once you build this at 72nd scale, it's not going to be tiny. It's going to be a decent size. It's going to be like 10, 12 inches long. And it's going to make a great display piece. So highly recommend it. Go check one out. Hopefully enjoy this video. And if so, I'll see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.